It's no longer often that one gets to witness a duo as strangely well complemented as Jonathan and Charlotte. Whilst the two stepped on the England's Got Talent level, each the judges and the visitors were blown away via just how properly suited the two have been to each different and to the show itself. What made Jonathan and Charlotte's partnership work so properly changed into particularly that friendship backstage and a feel of profound loyalty to each other, in particular when you consider that at the surface it did now not appear like the two could make a notable singing pair. The maximum not unusual critique the two are confronted is that Jonathan's strength and dramatic tenor is extra proper to greater intricate singing genres like opera, and on the equal time Charlotte's heat and honeyed making a song voice is the stuff Weston's show-stopping dreams are product of. And but while prepare the two complement every different like fire and water, this definitely shown via it that Britain's Got Talent audition. But what has the duo been as much as given that their time at the show be part of us as we discover what honestly happened among Jonathan and Charlotte. From Britain's were given music skills brought together with the aid of a twist of destiny. Jonathan Antoine and Charlotte Janelli had been each born in Chigwell, Essex in England. Even as Jonathan has an older sister with a married set of parents, Charlotte's dad and mom divorced 12 months earlier than she met Jonathan. Charlotte has formerly spoken up about how she felt forced to grow up early due to her occasions and hated choosing among her mother and father, so she would live with both of them over alternating days. All this whilst she had evolved a fondness for music after being enrolled in degree school classes by way of her mother while she became younger. Jonathan in the meantime had been garnering as many musical notes as he could, and after enrolling at West Hatch Excessive College in middle faculty he determined mentors like Jeanette Brown and Jenny Ewington. The two studied track inside the same high school, operating with the equal trainer, however did not bear in mind operating together till they were paired up in music class by way of their college's singing instructor Jenny O'Inton. And the exciting aspect approximately this pairing turned into that it wasn't even for a college event, it changed into their tune instructor Jeanette Brown's wedding ceremony day that they had been paired together to sing for the song. Mrs. Brown said that she chose the prayer for each her wedding and their success due to the fact she felt that it highlighted their abilities fine, and it turned into noticeably shocking for her to look the pair pop up on her telly years later. The two continued as a duo for years after that, and before displaying up on the Americas were given expertise degree, with Jonathan Charlotte become training full-time in musical theatre at the Arts Educational Schools London at the same time as Jonathan becomes schooling classically at the Royal Academy of Song Elementine as a junior, while Charlotte and Jonathan first walked onto the England's Got Skills degree inside the display's 6th season. The response that they received was less than perfect in reality. Many stated that the Decide's preliminary aversion to the P became unusually reminiscent of their response closer to contestant Susan Boyle, and possibly this became records repeating itself when you consider that Susan Boyle went on to grow to be a globally identified icon. The pair sang their exercise traditional The Prayer at their audition, which and the number of compliments despite the fact that the judges had been exceedingly inspired by means of the duo. One choose particularly had something greater controversial to mention. Choose Simon Cowell advised Jonathan to dump Charlotte, considering that he believed him to be vocally advanced. The pair persisted to live together, however ended up converting their name from Charlotte and Jonathan to Jonathan and Charlotte. Over the path of the display the duo remained resilient and subsequently ended up proving Simon incorrect on the semi-final two, where they completed Caruso as a duet in keeping with Simon himself. His preliminary assessment of Charlotte conserving Jonathan back turned into incorrect, and that she honestly complimented him simply properly. In an interview later, Charlotte, known as Simon, a permit down inside the feel that she expected him to be scarier, but he was by means of her account in reality cool and lovable. All this reward however did not manipulate to make Charlotte and Jonathan win the very last they did, but at ease run a rub proper at the back of Dancing Canine act Ashley and Pudsey in 2012. A quick while after the time on Britain's Got Talent the duo had been prepared to move directly to a brighter better scene. It became clean that they had what it took to achieve success, and so, as is the case with most acts who display the traits, Simon Cowell swooped in with a psycho record deal for the two. Soon after the displays quit, Jonathan and Charlotte were offered a $1 million recording contract with the label, and that they signed it with the condition that they could each perform a little musical theater inside the Close to Destiny. Their debut album Collectively Changed into released on the 24th of September 2012 within the United Kingdom, and at the 30th of October in the US. It featured new songs and covers along with The Prayer, which the duo sang at their first audition, and on the final the duo also labored with producer Graham Stack, who was at the back of the first 3 albums of X Factor. Opera stars G4 and the general public lavished the duo with masses of love as the album hit its peak at 5th region on the UK Albums Chart just 2 days after being in the marketplace. Quickly after the album's launch, a documentary following the young teen fulfillment for the reason that show become aired on ITV. The documentary become a deep dive into their upward thrust to repute their personalities and their backgrounds. The two have been each nonetheless teenagers whilst the documentary adds and have been given the opportunity to travel to Italy and France and hold their musical training, all whilst speaking to a number of the most essential human beings in their lives, but they weren't pretty finished making songs with each other simply yet and launched another album, perhaps Love. 12 months later the album turned into more or much less similar to their ultimate album as Charlotte described it, but with greater unpredictable portions, and it to a topped United Kingdom charts at quantity 5. This became additionally the album that commenced to look them diverge as artists, as the two had their very own devoted solo songs inside it. And best a quick year later, the fears that skeptical enthusiasts had approximately them splitting up had been rendered real. You might assume a dramatic cut-up given how we typically see such activities spread inside the track enterprise, but Jonathan and Charlotte, usually praised for being level-headed people, couldn't have been greater amicable of their cut-up after being approached through Sony Classical for $1 million solo document offers for every. The pair determined to release a joint announcement to acknowledge the oncoming cut-up. Fanatics had been heartbroken to find out that the two had been splitting, but it changed into an thrilling possibility to have a take a look at precisely what they might be like without each different. Charlotte changed into the primary to launch her studio album Solitaire in June 2014 and Ordinary. The album turned into fairly nicely obtained. While doing press for the album, she spoke about how the following step for her turned into branching out into musicals and West End shows. She ended up graduating from Arts at one in every of London's pinnacle drama schools in 2018 and made her debut at the West Quid in the very identical year as a part of the authentic United Kingdom Heathers the musical. Solid. The singer then went on to grow to be an unique member of the RSC show The Boy Inside. The Get Dressed she turned into covered as much as Carry Out on the Theatre Royal Tub, in which she played the role of Florinda of their manufacturing of Into the Woods from August the 17th until September the 10th. Amidst all of it, Charlotte has been a large suggest for frame positivity and representation inside the amusement industry and lately called for there to be HR help for theatre performers. She continues her enthusiasts up to date via her social media bills. Arguably the greater conventionally a hit half of the duo, Jonathan Antoine, has managed to make strides in both his non-public and professional existence after his breakup with Charlotte, though the two slightly talk anymore, as he stated himself in an interview that he might be very open to a reunion along with his vintage buddy. A few months after Charlotte released Solitaire, Jonathan released his album Tenor, which featured a ramification of traditional songs in addition to Eris. The album became obtained rather nicely and efficaciously released his solo career into stardom quickly. Later on in 2016 he launched his 2D album Believe to equally raving evaluations, and some years later finished his first solo concert within the United States inside the Fred Cavalli Theater at the Thousand Very Well Civic Arts Plaza in California. He's done at many live shows for the reason that one of the most wonderful being a 3-element concert entitled Past the Curtain in Canada, in which he sang Disney songs. He has also launched a recording project with Artist Proportion for an album he was working on alongside Diane Warren, known as By Way of Request the Diane Warren Music Book Volume 1. As for his non-public endeavors, considered one of the biggest ways Jonathan dedicated to change changed into bodily after a protracted and exhausting weight loss journey that did not escape any media attention. Jonathan managed to lose over 50 pounds, a decision he claims to have made for his fitness extra than to healthy external beauty requirements. It seems as though each Charlotte and Jonathan are doing properly within their selected musical fields, but it does go away as feeling a chunk nostalgic for their misplaced friendship along the way. However, who knows, perhaps in the future the two should reunite another time. All the time's sake.